Hey, it's Nick. Let's talk about some music. If people couldn't tell already, music is an integral part of who I am as a person today, and it has shaped me into somebody that I would have not been without it. And I thought I'd just show you some of my personal favorite songs or albums by going through my vinyl collection. But let me tell you, this isn't your standard vinyl collection, and I don't say that as a basic white girl who likes Tame Impala. No, I mean that as in that most, besides one exception, of these records were recorded and produced before the year 1980. I feel as if vinyl produced today are just the equivalent of glorified CDs, mainly used for aesthetic purposes instead of actually listening to the music. So I tend to buy albums that are meant to be played in the condition of vinyl. So in layman's terms, I'm a boomer. So hold off your boomer bias for a minute while I show you my collection. Let's roll. Starting off this list is Let It Be by the Beatles, which is the first album that I actually bought with my own money at the flea market for about 10 bucks, I believe. Has a nice little gatefold right here. And this is probably my favorite Beatles record, and that's a horrible thing to say. My dog is barking in the background. And I know people think that's like a really controversial opinion, but I just feel as if the Beatles really reached their craft by the end of their career. So yeah, absolute masterpiece. And speaking of the Beatles, Revolver is the next record I got. This was given to me by a friend before I even started buying records. This, along with another record on this list, were given to me by a good friend of mine, and Revolver is another great Beatles album that just should have a bigger legacy to it, honestly. I feel like this album should be known as the greatest album of all time instead of Sgt. Pepper, but that's just me. And gosh, it just made me appreciate classic rock a lot more than I already do. Next here is Deep Purple's Machine Head. This is an album that I've not visited in a while, but I really need to because this album is just great. It is not just known for Smoke on the Water, it has such greats as like Highway Star, Lazy. It's just such a good album that honestly gets overlooked in like 70s rock. Really check this one out. The album that got me into the Doors, Strange Days. This is by far one of my favorite albums in general, just because it has by far the best Doors songs, the best production, and the best vocal performance from Jim Morrison, hands down. I just feel as if this is where they peaked musically, and gosh, rest in peace, Jim Morrison. Hotel California was the other record given to me by a close friend when I first started getting into collecting records. This album means so much to me, especially since Hotel California has one of my favorite guitar performances of all time, and just the overall album itself gets overlooked, honestly. Because the Eagles are seen as the Hotel California band, but honestly, they have so many other great songs on here that just get overlooked, and that needs to change. Please check this album out whenever you can. Fleetwood Mac's Rumors is one of my favorite albums ever, and it's a classic. It deserves the status that it has currently. It's one of the best-selling albums of all time, and this is one of my favorite quality albums that I have in my collection. It has one of the nicest pressings, it has one of the nicest prints. It's just perfect, honestly. And this was actually I didn't even listen to the album before getting this, and buying this was the best decision ever. This is an album made to be played on vinyl. One of the only new albums that I have is still an older record. Led Zeppelin 3. This used to be my favorite Led Zeppelin album, and then I listened to 4, and then I realized that album was so much better. But still, 3 has some great songs. Like, of course, Immigrant Song, You Got Since I've Been Loving You, the Tangerine Song. Just so many great songs. This one is probably like seen as the black sheep out of all of the Zeppelin albums, but it's easily one of their best, even if it's pretty underrated. This one's probably the funniest record I own because I have no sleeve for it, but it's Houses of the Holy. I like Houses of the Holy, it was a gift, but it's like I don't play this often. I just thought it was funny and I kind of wanted to put it in the video just cuz. So yeah, House of the Holy. I'm not a huge fan of Paul McCartney's solo stuff, except for this one, because this album is just beautiful. It was produced with his wife, and it is so sweet, sincere, and just a fun album they recorded in like a barn. It's such a great album that needs to be checked out. No one like talks about this album at all, even though it's probably his best album. Band on the Run stands, get out of my way. Another Paul McCartney album. I've actually listened to this only one time. I think it's okay. I got it for free at the flea market when like one of the flea market workers saw me carrying around Ram, and they're like, "Oh, you take this for free," and I'm like, "Thank you." It's an okay album. It's the first album with the Wings, and not my cup of tea, but nice to show off. Pink Floyd. People don't know already, they are my favorite band, and I only own 2 records from them, which are not even my favorites, but I need to get around to doing that. But, like, Metal. Metal is a nice record. I love how, like, the gatefold is. It has all the band members, easily one of my favorite gatefolds. And this album in general, from One of These Days to Echoes, is a masterpiece in general. It's kind of lessened on me over the years, but it does not, does not suck. It really does not suck. So, that's a good thing at least. And yeah, you got the track list right here. It's just, I really need to revisit this one as well. Going through this collection really makes me realize, wow, I need to actually listen to these albums again. So, might as well do that. Probably my favorite album I own in my collection is Pink Floyd's The Wall. It's double disc, gatefold. It's just elegant to look at. It's classic. It sounds the best. And I got this for $20 at the flea market when on retail it goes for like 40 or 50. It's just absolute classic and absolute must listen to on vinyl. This was the exception I was talking about. This is Radiohead's Kid A. This album was released in 2000, and this was actually a Christmas gift from my great friend Sarah, who is absolutely awesome for getting me this album. So, yeah, thank you. And it's a gatefold. It's double vinyl for no reason, because the album is actually like 45 minutes. It could fit on one disc. But, yeah, I got the track list up here. This album sounds amazing. I actually just got it like yesterday, but I already listened to it. It sounds amazing. I love the quality of the print on the front. Absolute classic album for me, at least one of the best of the 2000s, if not the best. So yeah, Radiohead, my exception to the rule. Supertramp, Breakfast in America, classic 70s album, classic rock. It's a slam. It's so fun. And of course, speaking of classics, we got the absolute masterpiece, Remain in Light by Talking Heads. This is not a gatefold like most of my albums, but just the artwork speaks for itself. You got the back right here. Mwah. The album got me into Talking Heads, and now they're one of my favorites, and I just cannot thank this enough. Thank you, John, for letting me have this. Last but not least, we have the seminal album by the classic rock band The Who, Who's Next. This album has lessened on me in the past few years, but I still would give this a recommendation, especially for vinyl. This has a classic sound, it has some classic tracks, and it should definitely be appreciated. So, that about wraps up my whole vinyl detour. If you could stand through my boomer thoughts, then you should please give this video a like, subscribe if you want. I just got new posters, and I'm really happy about that. Pulp Fiction, The Wall. What? Finally got rid of those Star Wars posters. It just... that was a rough time for me. But anyway, if you enjoyed this video, please leave a like, comment, subscribe. Please do not dislike, because that's kind of sad. I would really not like that. But yeah, thank you all for watching, and I'll see you guys later. Peace.